You wake, no, you materialize, in a snow cave no wider than a car tire and just as cramped. Before you can even blink, the cold bites through your downy fur, reminding you that this is the Arctic, a place where a single breath can freeze in midair. Beside you, two siblings, squeaking like broken toys. Above you, a ceiling of snow 4 feet thick, and wrapped around the lot of you is your mother, a 500-pound fortress who hasn't swallowed so much as a snowflake of protein in 8 months. All her stored seal fat is now pouring, molecule by molecule, into milk so rich it could pass for heavy cream, fuel that keeps 3 helpless cubs alive while she silently starves. But even the deepest den can't outlast the calendar. Outside, the sun circles the horizon again, and the first melt cracks whisper a cruel countdown. When the roof finally fractures, ready or not, you'll have to crawl out and meet a world that's already losing the very ground beneath its own feet. Blind, lighter than a loaf of bread, you can only smell. The air is laced with mother's scent, seal oil and slow desperation. Every swallow you take drains her reserves a little more, another fraction of fat she can't replace until ice strong enough to hunt reforms. In the 1990s, she could count on sturdy floes by late March. Now spring ice is breaking up an average of 2 weeks earlier across Hudson Bay. That clock is merciless. If freeze-up runs late, her fast stretches toward 9 months, an Olympic feat of endurance no land mammal can match. You nurse, oblivious, while she loses nearly a third of her mass in silence. And yet each heartbeat in that silence hammers home a lesson. In the Arctic, comfort is borrowed time, and the interest rate is lethal. But snow cracks grow. Daylight seeps through like a promise and a threat. Soon you'll crawl toward it, because staying means certain starvation, and moving means only probable death. The day the ceiling caves in, the light explodes. Your eyes, open for barely a week, clamp shut. The snow outside reflects 90% of the sun's fire, turning the horizon into a blinding mirror. Paw pads unused to friction crack on the abrasive crust, each step slicing like sandpaper. Then the ground trembles. A distant roar? No, just your mother testing the wind. Out here, threats can be invisible. A male twice her size might catch your scent and consider you convenient protein. Infanticide isn't malice, it's strategy, a shortcut to bring her back into heat. Researchers still argue over whether shrinking ice is amping up that brutality or merely exposing what was always there, but carcasses with telltale claw marks keep turning up on thinning floes. You wobble after her across a labyrinth of pressure ridges. Overhead, an Arctic fox tails you at a polite distance, hoping for scraps. Even that little scavenger looks gigantic from where you're stumbling. And as the first true gust knifes through your coat, you grasp one truth. The planet's most open wilderness is built to crush anything small. Still, follow. Because out here, the only thing worse than keeping up is falling behind. Hunting class begins at -30. Your mother finds a ringed seal breathing hole and melts into stillness, nose inches above the gap. Minutes slide into hours until you forget she's alive. Then, faster than thought, her forepaw hammers down. A fountain of snow, a muffled yelp, and a seal pup struggles in jaws built for exactly this moment. You try copying her poise. Instead, you slip, belly slide across glazed ice, and nearly submarine into a black lead of seawater. Salt stings, your coat sags. Hypothermia can end a cub in 5 minutes. You scramble back, drenched and shaking. She doesn't scold. She watches, calm as the moon, while you learn the Arctic's zero-mercy grading curve. Whispers drift on the wind. Field teams logged a record 30-mile, open-water swim by a collar-tracked bear last season, evidence that vanishing floes are forcing marathon crossings once considered impossible. Cubs fall behind, quietly vanish below the chop. And then another rumor. A Russian outpost reports more cases of bear-on-bear cannibalism than anyone's seen in decades. Scientists debate the data, but you don't have to. You've tasted the air. You've seen the math of empty stomachs. When ice equals life, subtraction breeds monsters. Day fades, the horizon blushes gold. But the real storm, hunger, never sets. A crunch of snow sends adrenaline slicing through your bloodstream. A subadult male, lanky but desperate, charges over a ridge, head low. Your mother pivots, no roar, no warning, just motion like lightning wearing fur. She crashes into him, claws rake snout, blood spatters on snow so white it looks ironic. He backs off, limping, ego fractured more than flesh. That splatter steams in the air, scenting your mind with mortality. One mistimed step, and you would be the red patch cooling beside an indifferent ocean. Over the next weeks, you memorize smells. Healthy seal breath, fishy faint, old seal lair, musky, male bear musk, hair-raising copper. Each odor files into the survival database behind your eyes, and every dawn, the ice underfoot moans a little louder. Thinner, younger, restless. You can't read climate charts, but your bones register the trend line. You grow. But so does the silence beneath the ice, a silence that sounds too much like water. Summer. The sun spins circles overhead, refusing to set. The flows fracture into islands, and open channels cut your world into a puzzle with moving pieces. A seal pup surfaces too slow. Instinct detonates. You lunge, slip, end up half submerged. The pup panics. You flail. The ocean freezes your lungs. Somehow your claws find purchase, your jaws find fur, and suddenly you taste fat-rich life. It's messy, brutal, amateurish, but it's food. Warm blood fills your mouth. Calories ignite a growth spurt that will double your weight before the equinox. Yet success tastes of panic. The sea ice season under your paws is now 15 days shorter than when your mother was born, cutting hunting time like a tax you can't appeal.com. Still, the meal teaches another rule. Perfection is optional. Persistence is law. And with every chew, you feel the electric certainty that you belong on top of this food chain, if only the chain stays anchored to ice. But the ocean is widening, the shelves are shrinking, and your hunger is still decades away from being satisfied. The day the last floe drifts out of reach, you paddle toward a smudge of land that smells of lichen and disappointment. Churchill, Manitoba. Polar bear capital of the world. Population 900 humans and too many cameras. Garbage here once sat safely locked in a steel roof dump until a fire last spring torched the facility and turned the town into an open buffet. Up to 30 bears pawed through smoking debris before wildlife patrols fired cracker shells to chase them away. Tourists stream in, phones raised, searching for the next viral clip. Ever since a 2017 video of an emaciated bear staggering across Baffin Island racked up millions of views and equal millions of arguments, nothing pulls eyeballs like suffering wrapped in white fur. Even National Geographic later admitted the caption, "This is what climate change looks like," went too far for one isolated animal, but the image stuck, harder than frostbite. You don't know any of that. You only know garbage tastes wrong, rubbery, but your stomach doesn't care. A truck backfires. You bolt, 800 pounds of panic crashing through dwarf willows, vowing never to trust land again. Out here the ground is crowded. The ice is freedom. So you chase the horizon of white that keeps sprinting north. 5 winters roll past. You become a living avalanche. 1,200 pounds, 10-foot reach, canine teeth longer than a human thumb. Seal haulouts are your buffet. Younger males scatter at your approach. Until mating season, when hierarchy resets in fang and claw, a rival almost your size answers your bellow. The clash slams through silence like 2 trucks on black ice. Flesh tears, fur flies, the rink-hard surface fractures under your combined mass. At last, your right hook rips his muzzle. He staggers off, dripping pink. Territory and the lone fertile female nearby are yours. Victorious, you roar into wind that smells of open water, and an uneasy thought surfaces. Strength means nothing to waves. Queens and kings of this realm are crowned in snow, but their thrones are drifting away. For now, though, you are the nightmare that once hunted you, and the Arctic bows, if only for a season. Time, the only predator that never tires, finds you at 20. Joints ache after every swim, cuts scab slower, spring ice breaks while you still limp from winter fasting. Satellite trackers show Hudson Bay's melt now arrives 3 weeks earlier than the year you were born, data too cold to lie. Then wordless news spreads on the wind. Humans squabbling far away claim sustainable hunts still export 4,000 polar bear hides a year, even as global numbers wobble. A leaked report alleges a major conservation group quietly helped keep that fur trade open in Canada, insisting it balances indigenous rights and species survival. The nuance of policy is lost on you. You only feel the seasons compacting like a vice, each ice-free month stretching hunger into hollowness. One rough fight leaves your shoulder torn. Instead of pressing the attack, you retreat for the first time ever. The ocean smells it, the ravens know. Weakness has an odor. When the first snow drifts in autumn, you dig into an old coastal bank, a bachelor's den barely roomy enough for memories. Darkness thickens. Your heartbeat slows to a glacier's crawl. Outside, the wind writes your epitaph in sastrugi. The ice forgets no one. It merely waits to reclaim the space where you once stood. The Arctic never mourns its rulers. When spring sun returns, maybe the ice will follow, offering seals in one more year. Maybe it won't. Either way, cubs will still crack den roofs, mothers will still fast themselves hollow, and white fur will keep chasing a horizon that keeps receding. For every viral clip of a starving bear, there's another year of quiet triumph. A cub's first seal, a rival driven off, a dynasty etched in claw marks on melting ice. But none of it happens without the ice itself. Lose that foundation and the entire story dissolves. Camera crews, controversies, legends, everything. Into a gray sea where even apex predators drown unseen. Remember that the next time someone calls polar bears symbols, they're not symbols. They're flesh, blood, hunger, and willpower, life designed to balance on the sharp edge of a frozen world. And that edge is thinning. The Arctic crowns its monarchs with snow, then melts the crown from beneath their feet. The question left for us isn't whether the bear can survive the thaw, but whether we'll let the ice return in time to write the next chapter.